Alrighty, guys, welcome to the Wrestling Universe as we're here to take a look at the best of WWE for 2018 because I thought I would share some of the highlights of WWE's biggest, you could say their big moments of the year and some nice things that have happened in the company over the last 12 months throughout 2018. So let's take a look at some of the highlights. Now, the first of the highlights was, of course, the revolutionary debut of the women's Royal Rumble match, which was the first time that WWE have ever held a women's only Royal Rumble match into the WWE, and it finally happened in January last year, where the Bella Twins made their return. Tori Wilson and Trish Stratus and many old favorites would come back to participate in their very own Royal Rumble match. But of course, this would then lead to, of course, the arrival of Ronda Rousey, because after Asuka won the Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey would finally come to the WWE, and this will be the start of her wrestling career in WWE, making a transition from being UFC fighter to WWE superstar. As yes, she would finally sign the contract to be a WWE superstar, and we would finally get to see Ronda Rousey finally debut during the Royal Rumble as she began her road to WrestleMania, which was a bit of a shocker for many people. The fact that Ronda Rousey had her eyes set on WrestleMania and her eyes set on being a WWE superstar, which was huge in the making. And also the fact that she was going to be a part of Monday Night Raw when she finally became a superstar. And then, of course, this would eventually lead us to obviously another moment where John Cena would face The Undertaker during WrestleMania, which would obviously John Cena had a bit of a rock steady first few months of the year, trying to make sure that he could at least get himself a guaranteed match at WrestleMania, but he was unable to actually win himself a match to WrestleMania, but therefore he would try to call out The Undertaker, but he knew The Undertaker wasn't going to list it. But however, though, he finally got this match with The Undertaker, but then during a squash match, it ended with Cena being beaten by The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Yeah. That didn't go too well for Cena's plans, did it? However, though, we would also see Ronda Rousey's debut match where he would team up with Kurt Angle, who would make his return to WrestleMania into in-ring competition to take on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, which would lead to Kurt Angle finally, like I said, it would lead to Kurt Angle finally becoming, winning another WrestleMania match, or trying to, at least making having a guaranteed win at WrestleMania, which is pretty good for him. Then, of course, this would lead us to the moment where Seth Rollins would finally become a Grand Slam winner, where Seth Rollins would beat The Miz and Finn Balor in a triple threat match to finally become the WWE Intercontinental Champion, as Seth Rollins would finally win the Intercontinental title and finally go on top as the Intercontinental Champion for most of last year, only until recently when Dean Ambrose took the championship at the end of the year. So, yeah. However, though, some other moments also included the fact that Jinder Mahal also shocked the world at WrestleMania, winning the United States title from not only Randy Orton, from Randy Orton and beating Rusev, as Rusev was unable to successfully win the Universal Championship, as Jinder Mahal would win the United States title from Randy Orton, and he would become United States champion only for a little while, as Jeff Hardy would win the United States title and take it back to SmackDown following the Superstars shakeup. So, yeah, it didn't last long for Jinder Mahal. However, though, another moment from WrestleMania was the fact that the Shinsuke Nakamura heel turn when Shinsuke Nakamura low-blowed AJ Styles, which would lead to him winning the United States title from Jeff Hardy, only for him to lose it recently to Rusev, who would finally capture his third United States Championship win. And then so yes, Shinsuke Nakamura as a heel finally happened during 2018. Then, of course, we would lead ourselves to another moment in during the year where, of course, well, most of last year, well, at the start of the year, we saw this sort of tension between Bayley and Sasha, as Bayley and Sasha would have this some sort of rivalry going, or some sort of a tension going on where both ladies were not getting along, and that, you know, Bayley tried to throw Sasha over the top rope during WrestleMania's the women's battle royal at WrestleMania, which ended with Naomi winning, and of course with the fact that there was tension going on at the start of the year, this would then lead all the way to SummerSlam, where Bayley and Sasha will end up becoming a tag team, and this would build up to the tag team of Sasha and Bayley. So it kind of ended up ending to nowhere, because we all thought that Bayley and Sasha were going to have that match at WrestleMania, but it just didn't happen because WWE just didn't make it happen, which was a bit of a awkward situation. The fact that Bayley and Sasha just didn't become that, didn't bring that match that everyone wanted to see, the Sasha and Bayley match. It just didn't happen, and it was a bit of a waste of time. And yeah, so maybe we'll probably remove that from our best highlights, because I was going to put it as the best highlights, but then if they didn't ruin it, then it would have been something special. But anyways, moving on to other best highlights, we would also see, of course, another highlight being that the fact that Roman Reigns would finally defeat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, even though he was decimated by Lesnar during WrestleMania. He finally got his redemption at SummerSlam, which would lead to Roman Reigns finally beating Brock Lesnar and winning the Universal Championship, which was pretty amazing to see the fact that Roman Reigns would finally win the Universal title, even though Braun Strowman was also desperate to cash in during the night, essentially. So, yeah. However, though, speaking of that, we would also see Braun Strowman finally win the Money in the Bank, becoming the Monster in the Bank, which would lead, obviously, Braun Strowman was unable to, well, you could say Braun Strowman did try to cash in, but it just didn't work out for Braun Strowman, you could say. I mean, Braun Strowman, it just didn't work out for him whatsoever, and the cash in just fell apart after that, essentially, because, of course, Roman Reigns would use the Shield to basically prevent Braun Strowman from cashing in. However, though, this would then lead to... and of course, another highlight, of course, was the fact that, yes, the Shield would then reunite after Dean Ambrose made his return during SummerSlam to help to be on Seth Rollins' side for him to win back the Intercontinental Championship, only for Dean Ambrose to, essentially Dean Ambrose did, even though he did win back the tag titles with Seth Rollins, he even turned his back on Seth Rollins later that year, as he would become heel following the announcement of Roman Reigns having leukemia again, and obviously being out of WWE due to this battle, obviously led to Dean Ambrose finally tarnishing the legacy of the Shield and literally becoming who he, this new man that he has become lately, essentially. Now, other highlights would also include, of course, another moment would be that Nia Jax would obviously finally capture the Raw Women's Championship during last year, when she finally beat her, former friend Alexa Bliss, where there was tension between those two, which led to Nia Jax finally beating Alexa Bliss and winning the Raw Women's Championship. And of course, Alexa Bliss just didn't manage to win the match against Nia Jax, as Nia Jax finally got the win that she deserves. But as I continue to say, of course, there has been many other highlights that came throughout the year, including some other highlights being the fact that we saw, obviously, the return of Samoa Joe from his injuries. We also saw some returning. Well, we even saw the arrays of Enzo Amore, who had got fired from WWE, but we would see Ciro Alexandra take control as the Cruiserweight Champion for a little while until Buddy Murphy would end up becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion moving forward, as he would become the guy to hold the Cruiserweight Championship. And of course, we would also witness the sort of the less appealing of Alexa Bliss, as Ronda Rousey would end up taking the Raw Women's title from Alexa Bliss, and obviously Alexa Bliss hasn't come back into the ring since her injuries lately, and of course we don't know what the future holds for Alexa Bliss in her in-ring abilities. So hopefully we'll find out soon enough if Alexa Bliss will ever return to the ring, which hopefully, you never know, she might surprise us all and return in the Rumble. But regardless, though, it's like I said, it has been a bit of a pretty decent year for WWE, to say for the least, and I'm certainly looking forward to see where things will develop throughout the year. As, of course, our first major pay-per-view for WWE, the Royal Rumble, will be fastly approaching, so keep your eyes open for that. And I'm also going to most likely be doing a review for the NXT UK takeover very soon. Probably after the Rumble review, I think, is probably when I'm going to do it, or maybe after the main NXT takeover. Then we'll get to the NXT UK takeover and do coverage on that. But like I said, that's all to come on the channel, so make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all for my next Wrestling Universe.